Hey, I'm Tim Whitley here with Whitney Burgess. She is our VP of Strategy for MHP Team SI and the family of companies when it comes down to what we're about to discuss. And that is the evolution of personalization. And this is where a lot of times back in the day, Whitney and I have been working a long time together. Won't say exactly how many years because I'll get confused. But we've been working a long time together. And back in the day when we talked about personalized message and what was pushing that, Whitney and I would always get the, oh, that's kind of scary vibe, right? That's a little too on the nose kind of for me. But in this recent survey, and it's titled, it's exactly from eMarketer, you're probably seeing on your screen right now, but it's called The Attitude of Consumers Worldwide Toward Personalization and Customer Experience provided by a company. So that company would be the company that we work for. So a small business to a large business to Fortune 500. And inside of this, it compares 2020 and 2022. I want to make a clarifying statement that this is by eMarketer Pro. And number one, 2020 is in red and 2022 is in black. So if you want to see the evolution, it goes from red to black. So with that being said, I want to bring in Miss Witt and just uh, what is your biggest understanding of this new study that we received on personalization?
Honestly, I think it's spot on. Overall, thinking about how consumers and even businesses are looking at how personalization is utilized in their decision making and the ads that they see and their expectations, it's really been a continued conversation, and we're seeing that evolution. We started this experience with Amazon really pushing the envelope of this several years ago. And Tim, when you and I were pitching together, it was always, do you remember when you go and you buy shoes and then you leave that website and those shoes follow you around on the internet? And everybody would go like, oh, yeah, okay. So that was the beginning of the introduction of good customization and personalization, having that experience of, I saw this, but I didn't buy it. But if we continue showing people this thing that they're interested in, then they will eventually come back and buy. And that's just continued to grow. It's expanded from, I mean, even 3 years ago, you and I were talking to businesses about how to localize their website. And now we have a lot of those capabilities where by the ad type that you get, it changes what your homepage experience is, and it can localize that. So all of those things are helping contribute to a higher conversion rate and an overall better brand experience, because people end up feeling like they're heard and valued and that their experience is important.
Well, it's just like me being a dog owner and allergic to cats. Delivering a cat ad to me is totally a waste of money because I can't have a cat. I would literally die. So, it's just tailoring that stuff directly to the end consumer. And some of this stuff, like example, connected TV, you can deliver dynamic commercials now. You can have one basic commercial, but every commercial that airs in a row of houses, if you're watching Thursday Night Football, I'm making this up, Thursday Night Football on Prime, and they offer that programmatic placement, that commercial could literally be different 10,000 times plus more for the end individual. Because, like you said, if it's an Amazon ad, they're not going to waste showcasing Amazon cat food for me. In
Right.
the dynamic messaging, that's all going to be about dog food. It's going to be about dog toys and all this other stuff and whatever else I do with my life that's outside of my dog. But that's become the norm,
Mhm.
even in traditional assets. But one thing you said before this call, which is so true and spot on, but I didn't even think it was going to lead to this call, was you were talking about everything's being personalized. Like don't think of it just in the advertising world. Take a step back, and I want you to kind of tell the viewers what you were saying about hotel rooms and stuff like that, because I think it makes people click,
Yes,
with yes, it's here.
it is. And it's because we have started to normalize this ad experience and how we are engaging with brands online. We're the expectation is that is expanding beyond the online space. So, for example, I was just in Denver at a conference with the American Bankers Association earlier this week, and when I walked into my hotel room, the television screen said, "Hi, Whitney. Here's your channel guide." So it was a very personalized experience, having those soft touches in the tourism world is like really what has been able to push that and create a better experience with that brand, and feeling it's much more cozy and inviting, and all of the feels that you get being in a comfortable space. Additionally, we've seen a large increase in overall online quizzes that people will take or personalize, so they can have personalized health and beauty specifically. If it's acne regimen, if it's hair treatment, if it's Stitch Fix has done a lot with this by having a personalized styler that's being delivered to your home. Everything is about you. Every brand is trying to understand who their users are, who their customers are, and be able to give them a better experience. I mean, a lot of that's even while they're choosing the sustainability efforts that they're doing. So it's how they're using all that data to help create a really personalized environment to keep consumers coming back and continuing to expand their business with the brand.
And it's not these just big brands like Stitch Fix that's always looking to grow incremental revenue because I'm one of their consumers. And so every time I open their app, it's like, hey, you bought this, but it would really pair nicely with these shoes and pair nicely with these pants, which I think is just phenomenal algorithm, right? But
Right.
I mean, you look at 501(c)(3)s, nonprofits, they're using the same type of data. I donate a lot of money to help feed people that may not be able to afford food, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly getting text messages based in emails based on what I've selected in the past and how I've shown my interest into the hunger relief, all that stuff. And it's not just big corporate world. I want people to know that too. It's going all the way down to even nonprofits.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I would say there's also a counter side of this too. I know when I'm shopping online I love a good email campaign and text campaign. I sign up for all of them just so I can study them personally. But when I do take an action, I hate getting a follow up for something that I've already completed. Like the fact of when it's not done well, it does create a negative brand experience. And a lot of that, while it sounds really difficult and a lot to manage, many times it's about, did you do the tagging and the tracking setup correctly? So there are a lot of easier ways to do this that can give you a lot of quick wins to be able to implement personalization and machine learning and how those pieces start to work together. Other things that I think are really interesting, you were talking about dynamic CTV. This can be done if you are a company that maybe you just have multiple locations and the dynamic piece is just what location is near you. It can be a product feed, and that can be based on some different things and different behaviors. So there's a lot of ways to implement personalization without this being a huge lift that feels unbearable or too much work. There are a lot of really small steps to begin with on the front end.
We were talking about before the call about personalization, and I travel a lot. And so when I go to my travel sites now, they recognize my pattern of where I travel. So a lot of it's pre-filled, which saves me time, grows loyalty, and then grows, it keeps going, right? And so I don't, Gunnar, if the graph's not back up, let's put it back up because I do want to go over this stuff a little bit because 8 points we saw an increase in 2 years about the experience a company provide is as important as its product or services. And that is very important. It'll always be important. Then the second one is I expect companies to understand my unique needs and expectations. That's where I'm saying about the airlines, the travel expectations, like get me through that process as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. Having, let's stop talking about Amazon for a second. Let's say I'm a huge shopper at Target or Walmart. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing about sending those signals down to the individual users of what do I need? What do I need next? What are my expectations? And then I expect companies to anticipate my needs, which was that 62% now. Here's an interesting one is I feel an emotional connection to the brands I buy from the most. That went from 53 to 62%. So that's a 9-point jump. Do you think, tell me what you feel about that?
I think that people associate a personalized experience with feeling valued. and that is what helps create that emotional connection to them. I think it oftentimes has, because your experience is personalized, the product that you receive is personalized, and when it's done well, the additional communication that you receive are going to be personalized. I mean, everything from as simple as, hey, I know you're about to run out of this product, it's time to reorder, types of things, can also adjust. And so that, I think, is what creates that emotional connection, is that you have that value. It's really similar to what is called the IKEA effect, which is the idea that when you build IKEA furniture with all of its parts and pieces, that you value that piece of furniture more than you do of something that you didn't assemble. And so it creates an emotional connection of something that because you did it or you were invested in it, that you value it more.
I'm not assembling anything. So just FYI. But and maybe that reaches down to the last one, which I found interesting. Most companies treat me as a number. That was 65% in 2020. It went down to 56%. I believe you are correct with what you just said about the personalization. I believe it's one word. Yes, it's a buzzword, but it's automation. So if it's State Farm emailing me about my bill, it's not going to say policy number da 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 da. It's going to say, "Hi, Tim Whitley. Thank you so much for having your vehicle, your home insurance with us. Don't forget we have boating, this, but here's your monthly statement." Like, I think it's little touch points like that has helped with the email marketing and text messaging. And yes, it can be annoying. We get it. But I did find that interesting that dropped 9 points when 9 points increased on the emotional connection. I felt that was interesting that both were 9 points. Your final words, Whit?
Well, I will tell you quickly, this is also that we're seeing beyond small business. We're seeing a lot of this in banking. The expectation of personalization is high. People want to be, especially in finance, to be told what to do, what are the recommendations, and to be treated as an individual and having that experience. A lot of times, if you're thinking about how your website, your email, and especially your app, think about how Starbucks, every time you pass one, sends you a notification about it. All of those capabilities help push your brand and remember who you are and what your interests are. And using that data for actionable marketing efforts is going to be what increases your engagement and your conversion rate and increases your brand loyalty more than anything else.
Most definitely. I couldn't agree more. And on the banking side, that's only going to grow with fintech and all this other stuff. And I can't wait to see that. But thank you, Whitney, so much. You're so smart. We really appreciate you and everything that you do. And we'll keep our eyes on this, because this is going to keep changing and evolving as we grow. And this was just the past 2 years. So thank you so much.
Thank you.